So we're doing a test, acrylic latex interior exterior satin. This is pretty top of the line, you could say, Sherwin-Williams paint. It has a lot more resin as its exterior. So we're going to do a test and obviously apply this paint to a brick. So this paint is not intended on any masonry surface. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a test with a Sol-Silicate, which is a potassium silicate stain. But the difference is that there's silica in there. So what we're going to help this brick to do is the product is going to bind like a super glue to this existing paint without having to remove the paint. So the paint has had some time to cure. And what we're going to do is take our Sol-Silicate and then essentially just apply it to the brick. So in this case, we would not be able to stain over the brick, but this product has a pH between a 10 and 11, so it's a little bit lower than a traditional potassium silicate. And what this film is intended to do is to bind with the existing paint. So we're going to put on a little bit more product. We're going to let that cure, just like so, and then come back. So what you'll notice with our Sol-Silicate products, again, this is a stain that could be applied on existing paint, like we did on this brick. If you take a look at the consistency of a straight potassium silicate, notice how much thicker it is. And what it's going to do is if you don't stir and mix it every now and then, you see those marks right there? It's going to start to dry up and you're going to have like little rocks versus like a latex acrylic where you have a film. That's the difference. What we've done with the Sol-Silicate compared to the potassium silicate here is it's more like a latex acrylic paint. Notice it's a lot more fluid. And it's a lot more, or it's closer to that of a wet-on-wet application. So you'll notice the bucket there on the sides, it doesn't dry as quickly, which is actually a good thing because it's easier to use than a traditional stain, if you will. It's still thick, but compared to a stain, it's a lot more fluid. So in this case, take a look at the top lid. It's a lot more just like a gel-like substance versus the Sol-Silicate looks more like a paint. The silica in this product is going to help to bind the potassium silicate into the existing paint that's covering this brick. First coat of our Sol-Silicate on existing paint. This is about 4 to 6 hours later. We'll apply a second coat to the final. Right now, it's already adhered to the existing paint. About 12 hours later, we're going to apply a second coat. The first coat has taken shape. It's not flaking. So we're going to apply a second coat for a final. About 18 hours later, we're putting on a second coat on the Sol-Silicate. Since we had existing paint, we did not have to apply a primer. So you're simply putting on 2 coats. And you see how this white, this is a standard white that we're using on a brown. And we don't see any variations. Now, you'll only use our water glass primer in the event that there is no paint in certain sections. So you want to put a primer in that. So hypothetically, if there's a brick next door and it's bare, and then here you have paint, in this section, you're going to put the primer in so it goes right and penetrates into the cavity. If there's any loose flakes that you remove of the paint, You're going to put primer in that section, if that makes sense. Any walls that are latex acrylic that have paint throughout the entire perimeter, you don't need to use primer. You're simply going to use the Sol-Silicate that we offer only. There you go. There's the 2 coats. We're going to come back once it has time to dry. So we have at least 3 hours later, the Sol-Silicate had time to cure and absorb into the existing paint. And if you notice, here's a traditional silicate. There's no paint underneath this layer. You'll notice the same consistency. And even though the product is going to take 12 to 24 hours to cure, if you do a scratch test, you can tell it's adhered. It's not flaking, and it's similar to the traditional silicate. So what you're seeing is same consistency. The product binds into the underlayment or the original surface of a acrylic paint, in this case by Sherwin-Williams. We've now applied over it, so it's basically permanent with the existing paint. It does allow breathability to enter. And if the original paint was more than 2 or 3 years old, the original resin that was in the paint is basically all but baked off. So all you see is just the leftover of the actual pigment. So this is the best solution to not having a media blast remove your existing paint. And you're not putting a traditional paint on top of paint. You're actually putting a product that is breathable, is UV protected, and will give you a natural look in a nutshell. This could also be used on the inside of your drywall by using an interior primer versus an exterior. So this product will also bind to your interior drywall if you're looking to have an eco-friendly interior space.